Alright. Um Finish off my Easter thing. I had left off. I was showing y'all a picture. I don't know where it's at now, man, but I'll show y'all a picture. But this beer rapper, Saint Arnold. The logo is a saint like this, and it's a star in the sky. It's a shape of Texas in the sky as the sun. That's why Texas is called the Lone Star State. What's the Lone Star? The Lone Star is the sun. It's called the Lone Star because at night the sun is a star, but in the daytime it's the only star that you see in the sky. Beer and wine, these are things associated with Osiris because in order to make these things, you have to take a fruit, you have to take grapes or hops, and you have to send them through or put them through a putrefaction process or what we call fermentation, where the physical compound of the grapes or the hops, they break down and rot. But when they do this, they release the essence of the beer or the wine. In they release the essence through the putrefaction process, and the essence is what is the potent part of it that intoxicates you. This alludes to the whole Osiris thing, where Osiris is dismembered or broken down. What comes out of him? The spirit, the Holy Spirit rises out of him. He impregnates Isis through the Immaculate Conception process or spiritually. So that's one of the reasons why beer and wine is associated with Christ and Osiris and all that. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole blood thing, where you the blood of Christ and all that. The essence or the potent part of the liquor or the spirits. That's why they call liquor spirits. You know what I'm saying? That's the potent part. You know what I'm saying? Just like the potent part of your physical reality or your physical manifestation is your soul or your spirit or whatnot or whatever. So so anyway, Osiris is dismembered and Isis has to retrieve the body. You have to go back and reference the first video I did on this so you can catch up. But the body is dismembered and Isis has first is put in the box, thrown in the water, washes up on shore. A tree grows around the coffin that he's in. King cuts the coffin down. I mean, cuts the tree down, used as a pillar in this palace. Blah blah blah. Just reference the last video I did on the Easter egg hunt part 1. The second round, he gets the body. He kidnaps the body again, dismember it, and she has to go and retrieve all of the pieces. And she was assisted by scorpions. And one of the forms of the mythology where she goes to find the body. The scorpions will correspond to the kids. The kids going and finding the Easter eggs. Like I say, the egg alludes to fertility, springtime. You know what I'm saying? Spring is when everything springs back to life. Springs forth from the earth, the same way that a baby would spring forth from the womb of a woman. So when you look at the gold, when you hear the goose that laid the golden egg, the earth is the goose that laid the golden egg. When the sun rises on the eastern horizon, that is the what you could call the crack in the eggs that make some omelets. When the sun goes down beneath the horizon of the earth, what's happening is the earth is turning, it's spinning on its axis. It's spinning and lifting up. The horizon is lifting over the sun. The sun goes to, the earth turns its back on the sun, and the sun is sitting behind the earth and beneath the horizon line. So it's the earth being the goose with the sun. It's the goose sitting on the egg symbolizes the earth with its back to the sun, and the equator, or the ass end of the earth, raised up with the sun beneath it. So it's sitting on the egg the same way that a hen or a goose would sit on the egg, and then it gives birth, or well, it's sitting on the egg. You have the yolk or the sun, which you consider the yolk, but then when you look in the nighttime sky, you see the moon, which is white. Now the moon is reflecting the light of the sun. The moon has no light of its own. It's reflecting the light of the sun. The moon being Isis. This is how the natural fact, this is the retrieval of the body of Osiris. The body being not the physical sun, but the energy and the light of the sun being reflected off the moon. So you're seeing the light of the sun, although you're not seeing the sun itself, because the sun is sitting beneath the earth's horizon line. So when the sun goes down, you can look at the sun as the physical body of Osiris being put in the box. Like I said, the box refers to the four corners of the earth. Four being the four corners of the earth, being the box, the waters being the nighttime sky and the daytime sky. You know what I'm saying? The dark waters of noon would be the nighttime sky, the darkness of the sky. The separation of the body of Osiris is also a representation of when the sun goes down, the stars come up. The stars are, the sun is one great big star. The stars that you see in the sky are fragments, little stars. So when the sun goes down, or the sun goes south, or Sutton, the stars come out. So it's as if the sun went down, and when it went under the earth, it split open, it split apart to form all these little stars. Those allude to the separated body parts of Osiris. And they also correspond to the scorpion, or the kids, because they also are a reflection of the light of the sun. So the body is found by the moon that captures the light and reflects it back to the earth, as well as the stars. The stars are fragmented parts of the sun, or you can see them as fragmented parts of the sun, also shining from the nighttime sky. So that all that light that you see during the dark hours of time alludes to the finding, or the retrieval of the light of the sun, that's of the body of the sun that you don't see because it's beneath the earth's horizon. On a side note, show you how cold we was. When you look at the Great Pyramid is said to be the closest you're gonna get to true north on the planet Earth. When the sun, at 12, when you get to like 12 o'clock, 12 midnight, you have the earth right here, you have the sun in a position to where it's sitting like right in the middle, or it's lining right up with the core, because you have the earth, then you have the pole in the earth that splits the earth into two parts, but you have the pole of the earth, and you have the sun right here shining upward into that pole of the earth. And if the Great Pyramid is sitting true north, and the sun is lined up in the south, but lined up with true north, you'd have the sun shooting all that energy up that pole, the same way your Kundalini energy shoots up from the base of your spine, up your spine. That pole is the spine of the earth. Your physical body is the corresponds to the earth. That pole that's going up the earth, the sun is shooting through that, shooting through the earth's chakras, because the earth has chakras too. It's shooting up that, and then it comes out of the Great Pyramid. So it's like a gun. You know what I'm saying? A sex pistol is shooting up that pole, or shooting up the womb of the earth from the back, and it shoot out of the Great Pyramid. Now, when I say we blew the moon from the earth in the creation process, they say that the Great Pyramid was once covered in limestone. They say took the limestone off and built the city of Cairo. Well, that's the way I see that. They said the Arabs took the limestone off of the Great Pyramids and built Cairo. Who knows? But whoever done this shit, it was genius, because that alludes to the blowing away. The white limestone would be symbolized as the moon. The moon, the reason you see, when you look at the moon, you know what I'm saying, according to, from the way I see it, when you look at the moon, you see the shape of Africa in the moon. That's because the moon was Africa. Even if you look at Africa is a Cancer. It corresponds to the Cancer sign, and that's why it's called the motherland, Africa. So there once was a time when the earth was void. When they said the earth was void and full of darkness, the spirit of light, which could be represented by the sun, when it shot up the core of this voidless earth and impregnated the earth with this energy, and then you had an ice cap. You look at the moon, this is the way I look at it. The moon was like an ice cap because the earth was void. I got another thing I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna break it down like this is kind of complex, so it's taking me a minute to come up break it down. But the Africa was quote unquote what I would say the ice age. You had an ice cap over the earth. So when the sun shot through, this pole, it blew that cap that sat on the north. It blew this cap off to create the moon, and I don't go too much into it because I don't want to butcher my shit up, or butcher the information up. But even with when you go to the movies, they call them what they call it, the silver screen. The moon corresponds to silver. So when you look at I'll draw that shit real quick, a rough version of it. But when you look at even the Jack in the Box, the Jack has a triangle hat on his head, a triangle hat sitting on a spear, and it's inside of a box. The box corresponds to earth, four corners of the earth, or the four corners of the world, as they say. The circle corresponds to the globe, the spear of earth, or the Jack in the Box hat corresponds to the Great Pyramid, or the three. Triangle corresponds to three, mother, son, and child. You know what I'm saying? The first three, what you can say, the first three levels of creation or whatever. But I'm gonna draw this real quick, just give y'all a little. Y'all a little quick rough draft of this here. Let's just say, I know this shit is all rough and shit, but just check it out. Let's just say this the sun, this the earth, these the light rays of the earth, of the sun going into the earth, go up that pole and come out here and shoot out. And just imagine as if all that energy coming from the sun shot out and boom, just like a fire stick or a Roman candle. All that energy went up there and shot out and became the stars, just like you see when somebody shoot a firework in the sky, it shoot up in the sky, and then when it hits the sky, it explodes in the little fragment flames. And then you have the moon right here. This is the movie screen right here. These are the stars, you know what I'm saying? And then the silver screen is the moon, you know what I'm saying? The moon, even when you look at a screen, and even when you look at a movie screen, it's the same color as the moon. So we was on some genius shit, you know what I'm saying? That's the camera, you know. That's where your whole concept of a camera comes from. You know, all this shit is, like I say, man. When you start looking into when you tap into your mind, start looking at these symbols and shapes and corresponding them to everyday life, you know what I'm saying, you'll find a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying. Like I said, the stars, that's why they call movie stars, because all this shit is alluding back to natural facts and stuff, you know what I'm saying. Everything is everything. But the goose that laid the golden egg. So the earth is sitting on this, it has a sun sitting behind it, and it's as if the earth is sitting on the sun. The sun would correspond to the yolk, the yellow of the yolk. Then when you look into the sky, where you can see the light, you will see the moon, which is white like the eggs, like the shell of the egg. You know what I'm saying? Give you another example. It says the lake of the goose or the duck is referred to in ritual 42. The ritual be he's quoting from the Book of the Dead, if I'm not mistaken, the book coming forth by day, which is what the ritual 42 comes out of. But the sun was imaged as a golden egg laid by the duck or goose. The hill or island standing in the lake is the earth, considered as a mount of the double earth in the Kamite eschatology. The earth sitting in the lake, like I just said, the lake or the water is space or the sky or whatnot. The snake or dragon in the lake or coiling about the mount or around the tree is the apex reptile. Goddamn uninvited visitors. The snake or dragon in the lake or coiling about the mount or around the tree is the snake or the dragon in the lake or coiling about the mount or around the tree is the apex reptile in the water of darkness, who coils about the hill at sunset or attacks the tree of life, which is an image of the dawn, the great green sycamore of Hathor. Earth itself was imaged as a goose that rested on the noon or waters of space. This was the ancient ritual. This was the ancient mother goose that every morning laid her golden egg. The sun sinking down in the underworld is described in the ritual as the egg of the great cackler, the egg with which Seb had parted from the earth. The giant with no heart or soul is a figure of darkness, as the devouring monster with no sun or soul is a figure of darkness, as the devouring monster with no sun, next to it he has or soul in his body. Hence the heart or soul that was hidden in the tree or in the egg of the bird far away. The sun is the egg that was laid by the goose of earth that brought forth the golden egg. The soul of the giant darkness was not the personal soul of any human being whatsoever, and the only link of relationship is when the same image of the soul in the egg is applied to the mains in the dark of death. The mains are the when you look at the book coming forth by day, the mains of the human souls that are traveling through the underworld, in order to and seek eternal salvation. The soul of the sun in the egg is the soul of Ra in the underworld of Amenta. And when the sun issues from the egg as a hawk, it is the depth of darkness, the monster. Okay, now it's another, let me see where that other part at, where it speaks about the egg being used. Okay. It said, in the Egyptian, Horus pierces the Apap dragon in the eye and pins his head to the earth with a lance. The mythical mode of representation went on developing in Egypt. Keep in touch with the advancing arts. The weapon of the Basque hero was earlier than the lance or spear of Horus. It is a stake of wood made red hot. With this, he pierces the huge monster in the eye and burns him blind. The Greek version of this is too well known to call for repetition here, and the Basque lies near the original Egyptian. It is more important to identify the eye in the blazing state. Horus, the young solar god, is slayer of Apap by piercing him in the eye. The Apap is the giant, the dragon, the serpent of darkness, and the eye Apap was thought of as the eye of the serpent that was huge enough to coil around the mountain of the world, or about the tree of life, and light, which had its rootage in the neither earth. This on the horizon was the tree of dawn. The stake is reduced from the stake is a reduced form of the tree that was figured in the green of dawn. The typical tree was a weapon of ancient Horus, who is described as fighting soot with such a branch of palm. And this is where you get, like I just said, the trunk of the tree corresponds to the spine. Horus or Heru goes to war against Set with the words of Osiris, the backbone of Osiris, the words made truth. And that goes back to what I was telling you about me. The backbone of Osiris that I use to go to war with the falsehoods of the world is me. This is what it's me living out all of this stuff and seeing this stuff in my life and being able to identify it. When you're able to identify these things in your life and see how you're living the mythology out in different forms and fashion, that's how you make the words, that's how you use the word made truth, or the backbone of Osiris against the falsehoods. That's how you are spiritually hooked up. So when they say that he went to war with the palm tree, in another part of the mythology, you will hear them, or within the doctrines, you will hear them speak on using the backbone of Osiris to go to war with the enemy. That's what the whole him going to war with the palm tree thing is. And then you have another part. Let me see. Trying to find the other part where it speaks on slaying Apap using the egg to crush. Let me see. They say, thus it appears that the egg made use of by the prince to kill the giant is the sun, and that is your and that. Hold on, let me see. Thus it appears that the egg made use of by the prince to kill the giant is the sun, and that okay, yeah. Thus it appears that the egg made use of by the prince to kill the giant is the sun, and that made use of by the princess was the lunar orb. Here we have the egg of the sun and the moon, sun and moon, S-A-M, which pt2 is said to have moved in the beginning. And the pt2 thing, that goes back to what I was just telling y'all about the core of the earth, you know what I'm saying? When the earth was void and dark and void, the hole drilling through the middle of the earth in order to build this place is the pt2.